Hello, everyone. Am I audible? If somebody can please tell me.
Yes, you are audible.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Great. So, hello, all. Good afternoon. Myself, 𝐏𝐫𝐞𝐩𝐚, and on behalf of the Brinalytics team and our partner, Simply Learn, we welcome you all on a very interesting webinar which talks about preparing your workforce for the AI wave. But before I start this webinar, there are a few guidelines that I would quickly like to highlight and make you people aware of. I would request all the attendees to be on mute when the speakers are taking the session. We will open for the Q&A after the webinar where the attendees can ask a question, if any, to the speakers. And the guidelines are, you need to raise your hands, unmute yourself on your video, introduce yourself, and ask the question. You can also put your questions on the chat box during the panel discussion, and post panel discussion during the Q&A session. We would love to take it from there. Giving a quick gist about the webinar. This webinar is in association with Simply Learn. And during the webinar, our experts will discuss the challenges faced by HR and L&D leaders, along with tech leaders, in managing talent and skills gap, as well as the strategies they deploy and employ to address these issues. They will also share the best practices and real-world examples of successful talent management initiatives. Key focus areas discussed by the panelists today would be the role of people in AI transformation, AI talent development, approaches and ROI, training delivery methods, instructor-led versus, and explore strategies to sustain learning amidst rapid advancements in AI. And on this note, I'm glad to introduce our speakers. We have Ms. Ritu Manuja, AVP Learning Head, Next Gen Services with Tech Mahindra, Ms. Shipra Shukla, Head Learning and Development with Extria, Ms. Vaishnavi Kudige, Practice Head Transformation and Innovation BU, Northern Trust Corporation, Ms. Diksha Taneja, Learning and Development Consultant with Nokia. And to moderate this wonderful women panel speakers, we have Mr. Saurabh Arya from Simply Learn, who shall be taking this ahead from here. So thank you, all the speakers and the audience, for taking out your time this afternoon. And Saurabh, I leave it to you to take the screen on and share your moderation. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you very much, 𝐏𝐫𝐞𝐩. And from my side, from Simply Learn side, again, welcome to this amazing session. We are going to be talking a lot of things going around in AI transformation and what are different companies, what are the different leaders doing to bring that transformation to life. So thank you so much. I would like, before I start the session, I'll also thank Vaishnavi, Ritu, Shipra, and Diksha for giving us this opportunity. Like I feel amazingly blessed to be in this esteemed panel of these great ladies who are going to be talking a lot about what's going on in their world and how are they, shaping up the AI wave for their respective organizations. So before I start, I'm sharing my screen. If somebody can just tell me whether the screen is visible.
Not yet, Saurabh. Have you
Give me a
shared?
second.
Yeah. Oh,
Just give
I'll
me
let you know
1
once
second.
it is there.
Yeah. Are you guys able to see my
Yes.
screen?
Yes.
It says, let's talk AI transformation.
Yeah. Perfect. That's the screen.
Okay, awesome. Cool. So how I'll take this session forward is that I'll flip through a few slides and then I'll ask some pertinent questions about the AI transformation and to our esteemed panel. We'll hear their views. I try to wrap up my side of the conversation in the next 40 minutes, and then we'll leave the rest of the time for Q&A from the participants. In the meantime, once again, 𝐏𝐫𝐞𝐩𝐚 has already spoken about it, but I'll just say that Please feel free to put in your questions in the chat message. Towards the end, Ekta and team will bring up those questions, and we will, get the answers to those as well. Right. So let's get started. And I'd like to start with this, right? So it's a latest BCG report, which basically talks about like what is the CEO's guide of maximizing value potential from AI, right? And it essentially talks about like while all the algorithms and data and technology and all the amazing things that the tech folks are working on, while they are on one side, the biggest contribution to any transformation, AI-led transformation in businesses that is going to happen will be led by people and processes, right? And when I say people and processes, what we mean is there are essential components, right? So every organization is going through changes. So managing those change, including people-led change management. There's a lot of fear about AI taking away jobs. So how are we managing those in our organization? Mobilizing some of our senior leaders to champion the AI effort, because unless you have the leaders on board with the idea, the transformation is just not going to happen. There are like different companies are reimagining their OKRs and their KRAs and so on and so forth. There's a lot of talent gap that has come in because of the AI transformation, the new age AI skills. That's the need of the future. A lot of organizations have realized it, and of course, there are ways of either building those skills internally or hiring those skilled people externally. So there are different strategies that companies are adopting. But overall, 70%, and this is what BCG says, 70% of the success relies on people and process, and just about 30% on all the tech stuff, all the amazing tech stuff that different companies are doing today. So with that, let me just ask a question to you, Vaishnavi, if you don't mind starting with you, since you are a practice head and you lead a global transformation and innovation BU at Northern Trust. I just want to understand, like, do you see these org structures and roles and responsibilities, operating models, etc., changing at your company with the advent of AI? Vaishnavi?
Saurabh, I think Vaishnavi had logged in and she must have logged out for a moment. So can we have,
Okay.
She'll join in a meanwhile. We are just
Yeah,
checking with her.
sure.
No worries. Yeah.
Not a problem. Not a problem. In the meantime, we can start with like Ritu, your views on this. Like, do you see any org changes, role changes happening because of AI at Tech Mahindra? Ritu, you're on mute.
Yeah, hi. First of all, thanks so much, Saurabh, for inviting me for Simply Learn and Simply Learn for arranging this webinar. It's very hot topic for everyone. Everyone wants to hear about AI, Gen AI, and I'm privileged to be here as learning head for next generation services, which is AI, which includes AI, Gen AI, and also some more next generation services at technologies at Tech Mahindra. We are focusing on training our people to be ready with the changes which AI and Gen AI is bringing into our current way of doing things, right? And yes, it is changing the roles, the responsibilities of the associates. But I would say there are a lot of myths and a lot of things in the market which are talking about that people will leave jobs if AI is there. So I would just say that yes, evolve with the changing technology, AI, Gen AI, learn it, adopt it, so that your roles are more aligned to the changing world, and it will help you. If you are not equipping yourself with the AI, Gen AI, definitely there is a threat on the jobs, on the roles which we are performing, and the technologies, everything is coming together. and there is no strict now the borderlines for the roles which we are currently having it. So yes, we need to all understand it, learn it, be ready with it, and yeah, adopt it.
Lovely, lovely. No, thank you, Ritu. I think the message here is that AI may not take away all the jobs, but AI will definitely push you to do your jobs differently, right? So the world of technology professionals are definitely their roles, their KRAs, their OKRs may change as the technology evolves. I just want to hear from Deeksha, if Deeksha is online. Deeksha, what are your views on this? As far as Nokia
Um,
is concerned, what are
Sure.
the changes that you're seeing
Yeah.
happening
First of
around you?
all, my humble thanks, Saurabh, and the entire Simply Learn team to invite me as a panelist in this forum. Glad to be here. So, my take on this is that I feel that data literacy, Gen AI, this is no more an option. It is a must have skill. It is something which is very, very essential. And with the explosion of so much of data all around, organizations need, even more individuals who can analyze the data, who can read the data, who can interpret it. So rather, it will create more jobs in the, other direction. So these, tools, the Gen AI tools and uh, the artificial intelligence. So this will in turn create more jobs for the individuals. But only thing is, we have to shift from our traditional, monotonous, routine work to something different. So that's the need of the hour, and we have to adapt. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. So something different, definitely something different needs to be done, Deeksha. And how I look at it is that when we talk about doing something different, we also like, and especially like you from the HR world, also are realizing, and this is what we are hearing, maybe like you guys can talk a little bit more about it, that if you look at the skills that people have today and the skills that the organizations need for tomorrow, there is an evolving talent gap or a skill gap, right? So and that is where a lot of efforts have been put from the L&D leaders, like all of you on the call, in terms of bridging that skill gap. Now, one question, and like maybe I'll bring Shipra into the discussion as well. So Shipra, like first of all, like, do you agree with Ritu and Deeksha? And if you do, and if you also see this skill gap evolving and emerging, what is Extria's and especially your sort of strategies or tactics in terms of addressing that talent gap, which is you know pretty strongly and fastly emerging in front of our eyes?
Yeah. So thanks so much for giving this opportunity to us to be able to speak here and become a panelist. So I completely agree. I think with what my fellow panelists have just mentioned. Axtria being traditionally a data company, so it's a way, in a way, I would say it's a disruption in our way of operating. It is a mandatory skill for Axtria at every level to be able to learn this and showcase the value to our customers. So I would completely agree that this is one of the critical areas and it's important, one of the critical strategy for any organization to build AI ready workforce to stay ahead of the competition. At Axtria, what are we doing? I think the various things to scale up the skilling need for our organization. So to begin with, I think what we started to do was AI literacy for all. So that's a AI awareness campaign for all employees, irrespective of you come from a support function or you come from a technology function. So from a consultant to engineer, focusing on AI application in data analytics, life sciences, and decision sciences space where we typically operate on. And then, focus on technology of AI training, which is role-based programs that we do for our consultant analyst, so understanding AI in business decision-making. Then data engineers, where they actually work on, AI, ML model building and cloud, cloud AI spaces like AWS, GSPs, and Azures of the world. And then building domain experts through, AI-driven analytics, forecasting, and market intelligence. And top it all, of course, our leadership. So our senior leaders to understand ROIs, AI's ROI and strategic impact through workshop and various case studies. That's how we do. So this is not it. I think, as I said, we are also focused on building capability for our support staff. So even, AI how is that AI spacing and talent acquisition and internal mobility? That's also an area of focus for us. So
Yeah.
AI professionals with expertise in healthcare, and pharma analytics, upskilling upskilling for talent mobility. So enabling our data scientists and consultants to transition into AI focused roles. So that's typically what we're doing at Axtria.
Got it. So what I'm hearing from all the L&D leaders, and definitely they're doing their jobs amazingly well. It's all about building the internal AI capabilities, right? And I just want to check if Vaishnavi is back on. Vaishnavi, are you here with us? Not yet.
While Vaishnavi is coming back, I would like
Yeah,
to hear
Ritu.
a few more inputs from my side. At Tech Mahindra, we are
Sorry,
Attention, please.
I think there's a
This is an announcement.
building drill going on. So Ritu, maybe you can just jump in. I'll come
A
back.
shelter in place drill.
Sure. At Tech Mahindra, we are committed to training everyone on AI and Gen AI. And to achieve this, we have developed a first of its kind, a structured, progressive, and guided learning paths for AI, Gen AI that are designed to be flexible and particularly customizable for the people. And it's being Tech Mahindra being a huge organization with so many associates, employees, with diverse technologies and platforms being used across various projects, we have ensured that these learning paths allow associates to choose platforms that align with their current projects, needs, roles, to motivate them to engage with these learning paths. We have also given these paths as very unique names. We call them as belts: AI white belt, blue belt, brown belt, and black belt. We have given it, from the martial arts. We have taken the names so that people find it catchy, and we wanted to make it role agnostic, because see, somebody at architect level currently but may not be knowing AI, may not be like to be called as AI engineers. So rather than that, they would like to be starting with white belt, which is the first step for them, right? These are progressive paths which we have created. Additionally, we have integrated these learning paths with reward and recognition to recognize the people who are completing these. This is just one example of our initiatives. We are also running targeted programs like AI stack wise trainings for the AI practitioners who are already into development or competency of AI, right? Where participants are expected to gain hands on expertise in various dedicated, maybe one of the AI stacks, like maybe Microsoft, NVIDIA, IBM. That's how we do it. So that's how we are training our task force on AI and Gen AI.
Got it.
Sorry,
That's a lot of
I'll
action.
Sorry, it's just a bad day here, but I know.
No problem.
Apologies,
Vaishnavi, if
I'll
you're
just jump
comfortable
in.
now, let me just ask you one quick question,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
And yeah, which is like sort of building on what we have just heard from the L&D leaders, right? And since you're managing a global transformation and innovation, sort of BU as a practice head, I just want to understand from you, like when it comes to bridging this talent gap, or like specifically AI skills gap, if we talk about, for you as a leader, for you as a practice leader, like would you rather build this talent, which a lot of L&D leaders are talking about it, or would you rather go out in the market and hire somebody who already have these? They come and hit the road running.
So what a wonderful question, Saurabh, and good afternoon to everyone. I do head a transformation innovation business unit with NT, which is a financial services, very conservative kind of environment in itself, right? And they're not open to change. So as a leader who came in here to make change, I set this up in the last 8 years here. So a very different approach to talent, which is internal versus external, right? So I always tell them because internally we got people with the domain knowledge, right? Very strong domain knowledge. And externally, we went out and got technical people. So over a period of time, what's happened is a very strong team where they know the domain. Also, they upskilled themselves on technology, right? So when I came in, we had some 10,000 macros. Can you even imagine that people are sitting here and doing macros today to kind of input information? So from there, we have kind of come into a place where we are using, of course, Gen AI and all of the NLPs and everything else on the floor. But what really helped me build the strong team is to do a very strong mix of internal versus external.
Got
right?
it.
Yeah, but if I want a Python coder, I have to get somebody from outside. So
Got it.
that's the whole point, right? But what has happened now is the people in operations or the business is, hey, you know what? I have a alternative career. I can actually upskill myself. So there's enough and
Yeah.
more, we have signed up with a lot of, online platforms, the e-learning platforms where they can go in and learn, self-learn. And we advertise the jobs and they apply for it. Of course, they need to be technically very sound, right? But
Yeah.
that's actually has helped us build a very strong team. But to larger point, there will be a time where you have to go fast, which is higher with the skill set
Yeah.
internally, externally. And to sustain and retain, you have to make them learn, build them, give them that opportunity to upskill and, certify. Certification is a big thing, right? I mean, in corporations, I mean, more than I look at it as a reward and recognition because they're very happy. Hey, I'm Python certified. I'm XYZ certified, and I have this whole pathway where I can learn and get myself certified. So I think that has really helped in retaining people. Saurabh, I think
Got
that's
it.
where you have a
Got it.
long, sustained way
Yeah.
of retaining talent. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I think it has to be a very hybrid of
Yeah,
internal
it's
versus
always a
external.
mix. Yeah, it's always a mix, as you've said.
Mix,
And
yeah.
like
Yeah.
a lot of you have also touched upon like internal mobility as one of the things, right? And like this
Exactly.
this disruption is giving a lot of opportunity for people to also, move internally, upskill, move to a much higher value added role, right? So on that note, like when we talk about building or upskilling our people to the newer thing, I just want to touch upon this topic, right? There are a couple of ways that companies have traditionally done it, and they still do it. Like one is a very organizational driven approach to skilling, which is largely prescriptive in nature. Like it's like you tell them that this is what is the need of the hour, and these are the areas that you need to sort of upskill yourself on. And the second approach is a very pull based or a very democratic approach of learning where you open something up to companies, to your employees, and you let them pick and choose the areas that they want to upskill themselves on. Now, I want to stay focused on AI transformation because that is what we are talking about. Like when we talk about AI as a transformative journey across organizations, which of these two models, a democratic model where a library is open and employees are open to choose whatever things that they want to do and upskill themselves, or a rather prescriptive approach where you guide them, tell them, and maybe in certain cases mandate them that these are the like something like a posh training, right? It's a mandate, like you can't get away from it. Like so, which of these two approaches have been taken as far as AI transformation is concerned? So I like any of you jump in, whoever has the
Sure,
first point.
sure. Yeah, let me add on to this. So I feel, yeah, on the organization level, uh, I mean, as a mandate, I would say the base, the foundational level of artificial intelligence or certain tools, Gen AI tools, could be made mandate. However, it is more of kind of employee driven kind of thing. Person who needs to learn. I mean, person needs to be curious enough to learn into let's say machine learning or the data analytics or things like that. So that is actually should come from within. However, the in the AI era, the in the rapid technological advancement, everybody should know the AI literacy. So everybody should be data literate in my eyes in order to grow in the organization, or in order to sustain in their current role, in order to enhance the productivity of their current jobs which they're performing. So people should be smart enough to use such tools to leverage the certain benefits of these tools, so that they could focus on certain other strategic driven roles in future in order to grow.
Got it. So in a way, you're saying it's a mix of both, right? So
Absolutely.
it's a pull and a push at the same time.
Yeah, I would like to add here sort of to this.
Sure.
Yeah, just I feel that what she said is absolutely correct. So what we are doing at Tech Mahindra is we have created a very basic course, overview course. We call it as AI 101, and we have mandated it across Tech Mahindra to all the technical people. So that way we can, we have created the AI literacy among the Tech Mahindra associates. So at certain times we have to take as an organization such decision that we want everyone to be knowing AI. So that is very important. And the second point which you said, customized trainings or giving the trainings which are open for everybody, and then they allow them to pick and choose. So there also we have made it a mix of it, whether it's a mix of it. That means we have created the learning paths and mandated that learning paths to people, but then we have given at the same time the choice that you can pick up something out of it, right? The choices. So it's, yeah, the same lines. I would say that yes, both are important.
Got it.
Both are important.
I just want to add something here, because to your earlier point of pull, right? So sometimes we need to make an example out of people, right? So we have a person who moved from a very, very trade operations floor, right? I mean, trading floor. And this lady has self-learned, has a user, user-enabled coding, and all the way to today picking up an AI-based, learning tool, right? So we kind of flash that across screen saying, hey, you know what, this is an alternate career, because people think it's titles, but then you kind of showcase saying, hey, you know what, people are moved across genres, right? So I'm a prime example. I come from a business background, and now I'm in a technology, semi-tech kind of a world. So it's about just calling out in those forums saying, hey, you know what, look here, somebody has made an alternative career. You don't have to be an engineer, right? You don't have to come from an engineering background. You have a CA who's become a project manager. So things like that, I think that's where a lot of people think tech is so complex and they cannot understand. Sometimes it's about those examples, and even solution-based examples, right? Making a, video simulation of how something worked effectively gets everybody very, very excited, right? So we create these video blogs. Whenever we put a solution in place, we advertise it to the whole organization saying, hey, you know what, this is how it got built, and this is how your life became simpler. And it's not that you're taking away your jobs, you have an opportunity to skill yourself a little bit more. And those are important because we can't train people if they're not willing to be trained. I mean, that's my motto, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely fair.
Yeah, it has to be a pull. And I think people are, once they get over the fear,
they're pulling.
Yeah,
they're pulling the right
it's an
things.
excitement. Yeah, it's an excitement.
But
Make it
Vaishnavi, tell me
exciting.
something. When you're driving a transformation project, right? And like I'm sure there are, like, you are chasing your own KRAs. There are targets to be met, or I don't know. I mean, like, there are deadlines to be met and stuff. In order to bring about a change faster enough, would you rather lean on the side of push? Because like there are things to be done in a certain timeline. I would rather mandate this training and make sure that everybody does it, so that we are at a level at a desired time, because you never know that if you let people pull, they may take their own sweet time, and like, I don't know if the organizations are missing the bus, or are they missing deadlines or targets or something. So what are your views on that?
I mean, see, Sarah, I think it's all the criticality of what we're trying to drive, right? So when something is very critical, there's no time to train. Let me be very blunt on that, right? So
Yeah,
that's when it's time to hire or get somebody to do the work. Yeah, has a
yeah,
company, I don't think anybody has that leeway to train somebody to upskill yourself, right? So it's all the criticality of what we need to do.
yeah,
That's one point, right? So you bring in an external consultant who does the job, and then you put somebody next to them and say, learn. There's no push and pull. Push and pull is for a long-term strategy of building a strong foundational organization, which to my
hmm,
point has taken me 7 years to build, right? So today I can say closely 60-40 is my ratio of internal versus external and pull. But then 60% of my team is still something that I've hired from outside. So,
got it.
right. So I think to your point, Sarah, it's push and pull is from a learning and a career framework that you draw out for the long run, where you need to sustain and retain people. Organization wants to retain people, but if you have to deliver something, I mean, it's like building a house. I can't take a trainee architect to design a house. I need to take a
Yeah,
architect who has an experience to do that, right? So they can intern, but you have to hire. So I would say criticality, what we're trying to do, what's our metrics, what outcomes are we trying to fix? I mean, we have a 20-year-old system which is going to be made redundant. So I don't have time to train people. So I'm going to hire somebody from the tech world to come in and say, build it. I have 1 year to, move my people
makes
off
sense.
of one platform to another. So
Yeah,
I think push pull or the framework, all of that is for long drawn for an
yeah,
organization. Something that
yeah,
needs to
yeah.
be done today, we need to have people who are experienced to come in and do that. So that's my,
Got it.
yeah.
Got it. Pretty valid point. And what I'm hearing from the panelists is like it's always, again, it's always going to be like a combination. So there's no one size fits all. Sometimes it's hiring externally. Sometimes it is like a push based. You make it mandatory, and in other cases you try and inculcate a culture where you drive people and motivate people to pull the right things, because like at the end of the day we always say that everybody's career is in their own hands, like your managers, your leaders, even your L&D departments, and they can only coach you and guide you to an extent, but individuals are in the driver's seat, like they have to do the right stuff in order to progress in their own careers. So cool. This is very interesting, and I'll move on to the next part of the discussion. And Shipra, maybe like let me start with you on this one. Again, when we talk about keeping the AI transformation and the talent building at the center of it, uh, companies have again experimented and sort of worked on both of these approaches that you see on the screen, which is like, one is a very focused deep training using live instructors, sometimes in the classrooms, or some of your boardrooms and all, where live instructors come, and it's a very boot camp style of skill building. People roll up their sleeves, they get their hands dirty in terms of actual coding, delivering certain things, and learning on the job. On the other hand, we all know about digital libraries, right? So there are libraries which are on-demand courses. These are pre-recorded videos. You can do it anytime, like while on your Uber ride back home. You can just sort of bring up one course and do a part of it, if not all. So both of these things, like from our analysis, what we have seen is that live training brings more retention, because because the distractions are relatively less. It's not like you're on video and you're being distracted with like other pop-ups on your different digital devices, and at the same time you're doing a lot of hands-on. So it's an approach which gives a lot of retention to whatever is being taught. On the other hand, the flexibility is on the side of on-demand courses, which is extremely flexible. You do it whenever you think that is the right time. It's not scheduled on your calendar, and you don't have to log on to a system or enter into a classroom to learn. So between these two approaches, let me start with Shipra. Like Shipra, what do you think is the right approach to bring about AI transformative, learning journeys for employees? Do we have Shipra with us?
Shipra, I think she's not here at the moment. She has to leave for urgent meeting.
Okay. Diksha, we can your views, please, on this.
Sure, Saurabh. So I feel that, live training definitely, as you mentioned, has got more benefits in terms of the retention, and also the hands-on, workshop, hands-on exercises are pretty much, advantage in case of live training. Whereas on the demand courses are like, it has its own pros and cons. So, people like, companies like us who are the MNC organization are diverse, spread across different geographical locations. So people like, from different regions can log into a particular curriculum at their own pace, and then they can learn self-paced learnings. They can enjoy that. However, I feel in terms of, if somebody is really keen enough to learn the coding, Python coding, for example, or a certain hands-on exercises, for that, I feel that workshop is definitely a good moat. A live training is definitely a good moat in order to, grow in that particular area. If a person wants to become, let's say, a machine learning expert or a Python learning, or, so things like that will definitely benefit in case of live environment. However, the generic knowledge on-demand courses can fulfill effectively.
Got it. Understood. Ritu, do you agree? Like what we are hearing is that live trainings bring about a better productivity impact or retention of skills being taught. Do you agree with this? And how have you been doing in your org?
Certainly, Saurabh. It's a very interesting topic and very nice question put up across. So after COVID, I think we have all started getting on to more of online trainings, recorded versions, right? And being big organization like Tech Mahindra, where we have more than 1 lakh of employees there, we rely a lot on the on-demand courses recorded and e-learning modules created, and we try to create best of it. We try to give them the best of the environment and look and feel of it, right? And we use AI as well to develop it. While we are here talking about AI and Gen AI, so we leverage AI Gen AI to create these courses. And yeah, we at TechM do a lot, use a lot of e-learnings, and yes, live trainings are best suited for project customized content where we want to include the industry specific or tech and project specific content as part of the training, and something very customizable. The validated, curated content is based on the project we have to do. For those cases, we schedule the live trainings, and we ensure that we measure the return on investment, ROI, of those trainings. So yeah, both of these are important. And while we do the live trainings also, we use on-demand courses for the people, those who would go for the live trainings, to go for the on-demand courses as prerequisites of those, so that we can leverage both at the same time and train our people.
Got it. Understood. Cool. Vaishnavi, maybe your views here, and like when we talk about, so let me just ask a little different question to you, right? How do you measure, like as a practice head, like how do you measure outcomes of a skilling initiative, right? So we talk a lot about completion rates, certifications unlocked. We talk about number of hours spent in skilling by employees. We talk about a productivity impact over a period of time. How do you measure outcomes of a skilling initiative? And whichever way you measure, which of these modes do you think have given you better output?
See, some of the metrics that you mentioned are things that we use to measure, right? I mean, how
Got it.
many people got
Mhm.
certified, how many people who are able to retain their certification and move through that whole life cycle, right? I mean, if I were to just pick a non-AI based example, if I look at a project management practice, you have PMPs and you have CCBA and all of that, and they move through
Yeah.
that whole thing, right? So that's one way of measuring. But definitely it is all about outcome based. Were they able to handle a project independently and deliver on the outcomes, right? So that's, I mean, we talk about in our term, we talk about it as a value proposition, right? So we say an X resource costs you, hypothetically speaking, $10,000, and what they're able to deliver at least a 3X, right? So everybody, it's a target-based outcome. So when I look at my organization, the way we measure it, honestly, is what's the cost to the company that I have incurred while I'm upskilling my team, and what's the actual outcome that came
Outcome.
about, right? So if I've invested $50,000, for example, for this year, were we able to at least get 3X out of that from a delivery standpoint? Was my operating cost lessened? Because internally trained resources, I mean, just an open conversation would be a lot cheaper than for me to hire from outside, because there is a hiring cost attached to that, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I mean, agency costs, hiring costs, onboarding costs, training costs, integration costs. So here, when you're doing a very skill-based training, the ultimate outcome that we would measure, the ROE by end of the year, is, hey, I invested the X amount of money on training and L&D. What's my outcome that I've got, and is it measurable from an actual output, where my cost of the projects have gone down, right? So that's how I measure it. I mean, my group is like an internal consulting group, right? So we kind of build our
Yep.
internal businesses per hour costing. So I'm able to
Yep.
bring down per hour costing through internal skill set enablement. That's I think is a true measure. That's a true measure, because you're talking economics here, right? So it's not 20 people got certified. I mean, that's more all fancy stuff.
Yeah, that's like a
Yeah.
checkbox activity. Yeah.
Yeah. Proof of the
20
pudding is, hey, you know what? Was I able to deliver my outcomes with reduced cost of project, which could be lever is, of course, upskilling people. One
Yeah.
of the levers is, of course, upskilling people and to be able to retain and sustain them. So
Got
that's
it.
how I look at my group. Yeah.
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
that's pretty much, I think,
Yeah.
is a good
Thank
measure.
you. Yeah. Cool. I'll just move on to the next topic of discussion, and this is an interesting one, because we are all hearing that although different technologies, be it the internet wave or the cloud transformations that we have all seen in our lives, they have sort of moved at a very, very fast pace, right? But AI is a skill, or AI as like different platforms and technology, this is evolving as at much faster pace than any of the technologies before, right? This also sort of brings up the question that are these transformation journeys that the L&D leaders and the transformation leaders are sort of currently driving in their organization, are these transformation journeys, like in my opinion, they are just not a one-time activity. Like you can't say that, okay, I started in January and by June my transformation is over. Like it's not that kind of a transformation. It has to be continuous in nature. And when the transformation is continuous in nature, that's why we also say that, okay, the skilling also needs to be continuous in nature. And like all the L&D leaders definitely would agree to me, like one of the biggest things that we've been trying to achieve as L&D heads is to instill a culture of continuous learning in the organization. It has been a buzzword. Some of the companies can boast about saying that, yes, we have established it to some extent. The others are still on the journey. So I just want to understand from you, like, when the transformation is of this nature, where the skills are changing at a very, very rapid pace, and the skilling, continuous skilling is the need of the hour. I just want to understand a few ideas, like like what have you done in your respective organizations to instill this culture of continuous learning, right? So we can go with Ritu, Diksha, and then I'll touch upon Vaishnavi as well. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Saurabh. So continuous learning is the key. So there's no question on stopping it after 6 months or so. And
Yeah.
to ensure our teams are always ahead, our people are always ahead of the curve, we frequently update our training content. We also encourage on learn by doing philosophy, right? An important aspect is I, or rather me, my team, we collaborate with and work cohesively with the business, delivery, sales, pre-sales, solutioning teams, right, to keep us up to date with the market and technology changes, updates, ensuring that our teams are always working with most of the up-to-date knowledge. AI, as you said, is evolving, right? So my advice to all the L&D professionals who have joined us and participants to stay alert and stay closely working with connected with the business, so that that's why I never call myself as learning head, rather learning partners. We are partners with them. And yes, the best part is nowadays the customers are highly knowledgeable about the technology, so it's crucial that we connect with the sales, pre-sales teams also, right? To they also provide us the valuable insights about the trends and technologies to keep us up to date about what is changing in the market, how it is evolving, right? And continuously offering those things to our people, arranging sessions, creating buzz around it so that the learning cycle remains on and people keep on picking up the new and new technologies coming up.
Right. Right. Thank you, Ritu. Disha, if I may just ask this, maybe the same question in a little different way to you, right? So in skilling, we also talk about this T-shaped skilling model, right? Which essentially, like on the horizontal axis, you talk about like a plethora of skill or a breadth of skills that a person needs to have, which can encompass your soft skills, your hard skills, and everything around it and stuff. And then the vertical axis is essentially your deep skill, like where you are an expert or a practitioner of. In order to sort of build this T-shaped skilling model across the scale of an organization, what do you think? Like, what kind of continuous learning platforms or tools do you think would be much more better suited to bring about this entire, which can play on length and breadth overall?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I feel that organizations that proactively invest in their workforce, they ensure continuity and then they reduce the skill gap of the people. So, in order to reduce the skill gap, one should do the assessment kind of thing, assess people and identify that who are into who falls under the T-shaped structure. Like the broad knowledge is to be given, let's say, to the entire organization, be it finance, be it operations, be it technical. However, the T-shaped structure, which goes little deeper into down, should be analyzed very, very carefully, and those kind of skills should be imparted to those individuals who really need that kind of I would say skill to perform their job roles. So it is not that in the organization you're going to each and every individual and imparting, let's say, the deeper or mandating it for everybody. No, it has to be, definitely learning has to be continuous, but after assessing the each individual basis their job role, where are the assessment gaps. So every individual has got its own gap, whether it's soft skill area or a technical area, domain area. Accordingly, that needs to be addressed by the organization in order to perform better. So that's my take on that.
Got it. Got it. Understood. And Vaishnavi, lastly with you, right? So do you think this culture of continuous learning, it can be a competitive advantage for a company like Northern Trust, or for any company for that matter? Like, is it a competitive advantage? Do you think this culture can itself take companies to places?
Absolutely. And, more so, right? I mean, companies like ours, we are more than 100 years old. So we wouldn't have survived if people had not continuously learned. It's slowly changing in conservative fields like insurance and insurance and financial services. Mostly you'll see that most technology implementations or digitization is in the banking industry, right? So, or the insurance industry, contrary to what people believe. Most innovation happens here because it's also most labor intensive.
Right.
So what is important is to kind of really say, hey, you know what, you have to continuously upskill yourself. It is but imperative, because I think people who've been doing the same job for 20 years or 30 years, it's a risk for a lot of them, globally, I would say. And people who are, ability to learn at any age. I mean, human beings are very, very resilient. So it is but, important. India that way is very competitive, right? So I don't need to push beyond a point. It is more of them chasing us, saying, hey, training. And my question is, do I need to sponsor as an organization at this point, right? So that's where the conversation lies. For us, I think there is a demand, there is a pull. I haven't seen a push till now. I have not come to a place where I have to push people to attend. If it's boring, they won't. But anything it's very exciting today, right? AI, Gen AI, all of that is very, very exciting nomenclature. So you will see 100 people sign up for some of these things. It's more of, hey, what do you need this for your job? Then you get a sponsor to come in. Having said that, I think it is a definite edge, because you have to stay ahead of the game. Any of our clients who come in, we have a state-of-the-art innovation lab. We call it the lab. They're very, very excited to come in and see the way we kind of come up with tools, build our own in-house tools that we're not buying from the market. We're actually building. So it just gives you a very competitive edge in the market, right? I mean, when you're going up against a Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan or whatever, other banks, right? So it just helps you that, hey, you know what, we're upskilling. We know in the digital world, we have built a lab, we're creating something, and our own tool. I mean, that's, like I said, internal versus external. The data is a very, very powerful thing that we're able to send to our clients, saying, you know what, our own people have upskilled and they're able to learn. It's not a rocket science. People are pick it up. So I think it is definitely a competitive edge. And
Awesome.
I mean, Bangalore Center, Pune Center, both we use it as a leverage when they come in to show them. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Then I'll just end this with a viewpoint of Sinan, right? So I think we've got some amazing views from across the panel. As Simply Learn, who are we are the leaders when it comes to upskilling. We are in the front runner, in terms of driving AI transformations, and in the past, like cloud transformations and other transformations, digital transformations with a lot of companies. So when it comes to the rapid AI advancement and the AI transformation, we are betting big on these three things. Like it basically brings together all the things that we have just discussed, right? We are big proponents of an approach which is both prescriptive and democratized in nature, depending on the situation. So it is both organization driven and employee driven. We are firm believers of live interactive training. We are big proponents of live interactive training. That is how we differentiate ourselves as well in the market, where we say that, okay, we are the ones who bring about the outcomes. We are just not the ones who will give you like a 40,000 feet, superficial sort of learning. We really go deep and make an impact into an employee's career overall. And we are taking a huge step in terms of building up a platform that inculcates that continuous learning culture, right? So Just for the benefit of everybody on the call, and before I open up for the Q&A, we've just come up with this interesting product called Simplilearn Learning Hub. Think of it as a subscription library, very similar to the other digital libraries, learning libraries that we are all aware of. And just to name a few, you talk about LinkedIn's and the Coursera's and the Skillsofts of the world, with a huge differentiating factor that this is a library of live classes where your employees or anybody for that matter, they have an extra edge of not just learning by watching videos, but also getting trained by industry experts and the leading practitioners which are out there. It has a huge plethora of monthly live classes that we run across the globe, different time zones, giving all the flexibility that other traditional digital libraries provide. At the same time, brings about a huge positive element of mentorship, instructor-led mentorship, opportunity to sort of do hands-on projects, do a lot of exercises, case studies on labs and stuff, right? So with this, I just wanted to give a link, a Simplilearn's view as well. Like, this is how we are also promoting some of the views that we have just heard from our esteemed panelists. Everybody on the call in their respective organizations, like, I take this moment to just give them an opportunity that this library is available for everybody on the call as a trial in their respective organization. So if you want, you can drop us an email. We'll share an email after that. Replying to that email, we can just open it up for a trial so that you can experience it first. With that, I'll just, without wasting any more time, I'll move on to the Q&A that we have. I'll stop sharing my screen and I'll let one of the partners from 𝐏𝐫𝐞𝐩𝐚𝐫's team to bring up some of the questions that we already have on the chat. And others, please raise your hand and feel free to ask questions.
Sure. Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you all the speakers for sharing wonderful insights. Of course, there was one question which was already in the chat from Mr. Surendra Bisht. He wants to know, he's from Jindal Stainless, and he wants to know how to upskill and even imbibe awareness of AI and Gen AI in mid-management level employees like AGM, DGMs, and GMs. So if any of you can share your thoughts on this.
I'll pick it up, Saurabh, because I have to log off, hard stop at 4 o'clock. So I would like to answer one question and then log off. So for mid-management level, what we prefer at Tech Mahindra is giving them to start with the overview kind of courses, which creates a base for it, giving them an 1,000 feet view of 10,000 feet view of what is AI, what all it covers when you say AI. So first of all, a little bit about what it can do, what it cannot do. There are 5-6 areas within AI, like machine learning, like NLP, like computer vision, like ML ops, right? So basics of all of this, what it all it can do for you, what are the constraints, where it is useful, those kind of courses. And in this evolving era, we have a lot of free courses as well available in the market, right? So explore those which are of to start with 2 hours, and some of those are very, very economically charged. Like the father of AI is Andrew Ng, right? All of us know it. So there is one course which is available, AI for everyone, or AI for Gen AI for CEOs, right? Those are the very beautifully articulated courses available on Coursera, which are charged, say, what, 1,500 to 2,000, which we can ask easily to mid-management level to spend on themselves, or organizations can reimburse, or on somebody from your team can go through it and create something similar for your organizations. So those efforts we can do it, and Simplilearn, you can explore them as well to create something on similar lines for you and have it ready for your teams. Yeah, that's it. Thanks, Saurabh.
Saurabh, we have one more question
you.
I would like to highlight. Give me a moment.
Yes, please.
Somebody wants to know, how do you plan strategic thinking, managing P&L topics to newly hired leaders? Yes, any one of you can take this.
I think it's off topic, but at least at a mid-management level, one of the emphasis that we have is, at least internally, we have a financial call, right? The CFO gets on a call and kind of just talks about the share prices and what's impacting and everything. So we kind of encourage them to be on these meetings, to understand how their work impacts, right? I mean, it's about connecting it back to their work. And that's what we encourage, to be able to understand P&L, and that's where we come from. I mean, just a simple example. I mean, I'm an engineer though, so I never knew how to do accounting. One of the best professors that I is, you guys don't need to do accounting, but you need to how the P&L. So that's what I always tell my mid-management level, right? Just learn to understand the P&L statement, what the CFO puts out there, and to be able to connect it back to your work. I mean, there is no, you have to, right? I mean, once you have to reach, if you want to reach a senior level, you better understand how, it's impacting your financials and boil it down to the bonus that you're going to take home. So it's as simple as that. I mean, yeah, that's how I would suggest that we should apply. I do need to jump off. Sorry, I know we're 1 minute over, but lovely. Thank you for including conversation. Hopefully, it was helpful for everybody that joined. But I did learn a lot and take away a lot from this conversation. Thanks, Saurabh, and rest of the team for pulling this together. So have a wonderful evening, and thank you for joining. See you guys.
Thank you so much.
Same here. I need to jump into another meeting.
Yeah, thank you, Diksha. I think thank you so
Yeah.
much, both of you.
Correct.
It was a pleasure to hear your views. And
So,
Ekta, if there are no other
yes.
questions, maybe we can
Sure. We
close
would
it.
be connecting with the Simply Learn team and share the questions with you. So quickly, I know everybody has a hard stop. So thank you so much, Saurabh, for wonderfully moderating the panel. Thank you, Diksha, Vaishnavi, Vilas, Shikha, Ritu, for your time today. It was great having you guys. Thank you all the audience for staying there and asking the relevant questions. We shall be sharing the entire video, and of course, reconnecting you with the Simply Learn team for the questions and their wonderful solutions. So thank you once again, everyone, and have a lovely evening. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.